Welcome back, basketball fans, boxing fans, to another show with Sean on boxing. Yes, boxing. So this week we're going to be looking at the two cards coming up this weekend. Obviously, the DAZN card featuring Estrada versus Bam Rodriguez, and the top rank card versus Teofimo Lopez versus Steve Clagget. So stay tuned and we'll break that down. We'll get into it and we'll talk about these two upcoming fight cards we're going to see this weekend and discuss which one's better, which one was more entertaining, and which one are you planning on watching. So stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. Raf's in the house. Welcome. So I just watched the weigh-ins for both of these cards, DAZN and Top Rank. And it's amazing because on the outside looking in, the card that I'm excited about, the card I'm going to go live on and talk about this weekend is obviously the DAZN Bam Rodriguez Juan Francisco Estrada card. But when I watched these weigh-ins today, one weigh-in, as exciting as weigh-ins can be, which, generally I don't watch weigh-ins for excitement, but the top rank weigh-in was quality, it was entertaining, it was vibrant, it was interesting. The DAZN weigh-in was pretty fucking stale, pretty boring, and pretty dry. If this is a big build-up for these fights, already DAZN dropped the ball. Even though on the outside looking in, the only fight worth watching this weekend is on DAZN, right? And you can't really compare the quality of events on Top Rank compared to the quality event on DAZN. But you can talk about the overall card, and you can talk about the way one promotional company has just done a better job sort of highlighting their fight than the other. So let's get to this. Raf says, I'm watching both. Hope they don't get in the way of each other. The good thing about the top rank fight card, you're going to get to see a lot of fights before you find anything relevant at the DAZN card. And we're going to talk about that. Wayne Evans, what's up? Ja says, Estrada is well past his best at this point. Bam by mid to late round stoppage. Raf says, top rank card is stacked. Good prospects like Emiliano, Yan Santana, Rohan Palanco. And he says he is past it. Yeah, but I think he goes to decision. So you guys like to jump the queue. Slow down, man. We're not in a rush. We got over an hour to break this down, discuss it, and get into it. Why are you guys throwing out the baby with the bathwater? Slow down, calm down, relax. So what we're mostly talking about was today's weigh-in, and then we'll get into it and discuss it. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the weigh-ins, but DAZN weigh-ins, a lot of it, you have to give credit to the participants, the boxers, and just their charisma and personality. And obviously the top rank group is a much more charismatic, entertaining group. But Sonny Edwards is a very entertaining guy with a lot of personality as well. And I don't know the rest of the guys on DAZN because they did not really show much personality. Probably the worst thing about Bam Rodriguez is his lack of personality. Him and his brother are two boring fucking kids, right? They are this new Generation Z. There's not much to them. They're boring. And when you listen to them talk, they don't say anything that really grabs your attention. And I think Bam is a great fighter. But as far as a guy that's going to break through and be that next great American fighter, I don't know if he's got the personality to do that. He could still go on to be one of the best pound for pound fighters, go on to be a living legend, a Hall of Famer. But as far as selling the sport, marketing himself, and making as much money as potentially he could, I don't know if he's got the personality to do that. He's a little stale, like 7-day-old bread. As far as Juan Francisco Estrada sells to Mexican fans, so he doesn't need to say anything because Mexican fans know who he is, are super excited, and support him all day, every day. But he is not the most outgoing, entertaining personality either. right? Which is one reason why he probably hasn't got as much push on these pound for pound lists like guys uh, above him who haven't done anything close to what he's done. Don't have the quality wins, don't have the quality resume, just haven't done as much as Estrada has done. As far as Estrada being old, I don't know if old is the issue. One of his best performances was his last performance against uh, Roman Chocolito Gonzalez, where he finally won the fight, right? And definitively won the fight. Uh, but obviously, being out for a long period of time is not a good look. It begs the question if you're going to be sharp and at your best. But again, at his age, fighting once every year might be the best thing for him as far as maintaining his body and not letting him break down like a better BF who's in training, fighting, and consistently has injury problems. And we know Juan Francisco Estrada, like better BF, has had tons of issues as far as injuries throughout his career. Also amazing is in the live in the comment in the live. He says, "Smash the likes, people." Yes, listen to the brother. He can't be wrong. They're discounting Estrada too much, as if he is going to get buried with no chance, as if he's not skilled. Go Estrada. Some takes I had from today's weigh-in, right? And generally, what I took away from this weigh-in is that the undercard fights on Top Rank's fight card are going to be more entertaining, but they're far more one-sided. They're all showcase fights. None of those top fighters are really fighting anyone good except for Santana. The guy Santana scheduled to fight, they look like brothers. That fight looks like it potentially could be the best fight on that card. As far as the rest of them, there's nothing really that grabs your attention as far as opposition, right? I'm not very excited as far as the fights, but I'm excited to see the fighters. It's always good to see guys stay busy and showcase themselves. And mostly that's what Top Rank's card is tomorrow. Mostly a showcase card. Whereas DAZN has at least 3 legitimate 50-50 fights on it. And well, none of those people really showed their personality. Even Sonny Edwards, who generally has a lot of personality, maybe sometimes too much personality, it was kind of understated on this DAZN weigh-in. But what I did notice in the weigh-in was Estrada looked fucking great on the scale. Looked great. Looked really good. So that definitely begs the question, what version we're going to see of him. I definitely think we're going to see a very good version of Juan Francisco Estrada. And what he said was true. I've had 43, 47 fights. So don't look at age, look at experience. I have heaps load more experience than he has. And that's really going to be the difference tomorrow. And we know that people like to talk about how Bam beat fighters like Rungvisai and obviously Quadras. But he did that coming off of victories where Estrada had already done it. He'd already beat both of those fighters and did it equally convincing. Also stopped Quadras, right? And beat the bejesus out of Rungvisai, dominating, putting on a masterclass versus him in the second fight. So we saw Estrada finish these guys well before Bam Rodriguez used them to build up his name. So it's a really intriguing fight. Definitely one to pay attention to tomorrow. Definitely a fight that is the best fight, one of the best fights we've seen in 2024. John Sean Boxing says Clagget is 50-50 fight. Oh my God. Some people just cannot get above and beyond their trolling. Can we just talk boxing instead of trolling? Right? Like that fight is what it is. Just like I mentioned, a showcase fight, a stay busy fight. Obviously, we expect Lopez to be in a bigger fight later on this year. It would have been great if that was a Devin Haney unification fight, but unfortunately, it does not look like that's going to be the situation. So it very well might be Lopez versus who? Liam Paro, right? Which isn't nearly as big a fight or as entertaining or interesting as a Devin Haney fight, but in reality, it might be a better fight stylistically. But yeah, let's move through. Ryan ruined Devin. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. We have to wait to see how that unfolds. But this is not about those two guys. All the usual suspects are doing nothing but talking about these guys. I'd rather not dwell on this whole topic. Even Ring IQ, I mean, the amount of videos he's made about these two guys going back and forth is far too much. They don't deserve that much fucking attention. DJ, hola, welcome in. Caitlin Clark is really Peter Clark. I don't even know what that means. Who's Peter Clark? Caitlin Clark is great. She's almost leading the WNBA in assists as a rookie. And she's almost top 15 in scoring. I don't know what people want from her. She's doing exactly what she should do in her first year in the league. But we'll see what goes on moving. I think by the end of the year, she's going to be a top 10 scorer and a top 2 or 3 assist player on that team, and is easily going to win Rookie of the Year, and is going to show that she should have been on the U.S. team, because she's going to be top 10 scorer and maybe leading the league in assists, if not number 1, 2, or 3. And for a first-year player coming to the league, what else would you expect her to do? But this is not about basketball. This is about boxing. So let's jump into it. So there we go. So these are the 2 cards this weekend. I mean, it's kind of funny because these posters really kind of represent what we got on these weigh-ins and what we're kind of getting in these 2 fight cards. You know, one looks cool, dark, edgy, but it's missing something. Not that the fight's missing something. The fight is by and far the best fight easily, and it ain't even a conversation. But personality-wise, definitely something is missing from this DAZN fight card, which is probably going to hurt them. And probably more people in the States are going to be tuning in to watch this Top Rank card, which, as you can see, is more colorful, has more flair. You know, whether you like the looks of it or not, it's got a little bit of that Cuban, salsa, Brazil party personality. And the weigh-in also was the same way. It was pretty entertaining for as far as weigh-ins can go. You had a lot more personality being shown during the weigh-in. But as I said, most of these fights are, you know, fights just to highlight top level fighters on Top Rank. We expect all the guys that Top Rank is pushing to go in there and have stellar performances, potentially score sensational knockouts, and this will just elevate them and move them forward for the rest of 2024. So there we go. There's the 2 cards. Let me just come here so you don't have to see my face. So Lopez versus Clagget, Robsy Ramirez versus Brandon Leon Benitez. As I said, you have great opponents, Ramirez, Lopez, but who are these fucking opponents? Yan Santana versus Brandon Valdez. As I said, I think that might be the best fight on the card. The energy at the weigh-in, both of those fighters really played off each other very well. They kind of look like they're related. So I definitely think it's going to be a very entertaining fight. Elvis Rodriguez versus some Filipino kid I've never heard of. Elvis was putting on a bunch of attitude and stuff, but yet he's fighting a guy that literally nobody cares about. And the reason he's fighting this guy is because he just re-signed with Top Rank, and they're giving him a free one. Here you go. Here's an easy one. Hit it out of the park. Make yourself look good so we can put you in with another top-level 140-pound fighter, maybe like a Lopez down the road. Then you have Centeno, a good-looking up-and-coming prospect. Emiliano Vargas, a good-looking prospect coming forward. Nico Ali Walsh, a guy that obviously attached to Muhammad Ali, has been getting a lot of push. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 up-and-coming young fighters, and then 2 established world champions, right? It's a deep card, and that's what Top Rank has done a great job in doing. Really just highlighting young fighters, putting them on cards, really stacking the cards with these young fighters and letting us watch their development, which is great. Top Rank has done a fantastic job of doing that. And you also know at the same time, they're not necessarily spending a lot of money in building these cards because of the way they're setting them up. Jags in the house. Anybody watching Pro Box right now? Is that fight card on right now? Pro Box? I thought it was yesterday. To be fair, I think Pro Box is good, but I don't know who the fuck the opponent is. They talk about this undefeated Irish kid and make him sound like he's some great fighter. Literally, I've never heard of him. Never heard of him. And the fact that a world champion is fighting on Pro Box, it kind of tells you everything you need to know. Ah, yes, Gongora is fighting now. Gongora as well, a guy that had his moments, but who's he fighting? What's his opponent? Jag, thank you very much. You're a good man, Chopin. Jag gifted Sean Unboxing 5 memberships. Thank you very much. And everybody he gifted to, you should say thank you to. Top rank card is better, far more names. Estrada, Bam is great, but the undercard stinks, not worth $30 monthly subscription. But this is the normal troll you do, John Sean Boxing. The problem with Top Rank, I just went over it. There's no 50-50 fights in the whole card. There's no intriguing fights. It's showcase fights. The whole card is showcase fights with a bunch of young up-and-coming fighters that nobody knows. You can act like it's a better card, but the reality is you don't know who any of those guys are. And there's no fight here that you would list as a 50-50 fight. When we watch the DAZN card, Juan Francisco Estrada, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, that fight in itself is worth $30 for a monthly fucking subscription, because that's better than what you got versus Tank Davis versus Frank Martin for $85 on one day pay-per-view, right? This is one day in a month. So 4 potential cards, 5, maybe 6 cards you're going to get in the month for $30, as opposed to one card, which costs you $85. But of course, I know math was not your strong point, so I'll leave it at that. The Sonny Edwards-Adrian Carell fight, for a casual like you who only watches American boxing, see, you might miss what a great 50-50 fight that is. Both of these fighters were just recently world champions, both of them coming off of losses. Carell to Nashinga, the South African fighter he knocked out to become world champion, ended up losing in the rematch. Sonny Edwards, obviously fighting in a unification fight with Bam Rodriguez in his last fight. Now these guys are matching up so they get an opportunity to fight for one of the vacant 112-pound world titles. This is the way it should be done. This has been my criticism to a lot of these sanctioning body mandatory opponents, right? You got a guy like fucking the Cuban dude who's supposed to fight Canelo Alvarez, right? And who did he fight to put him in that position? I mean, David Benavidez, at least he fought top guys and really elevated him to a position where he should be getting the fight after beating Plant and then beating Andrade, right? This is what this fight is like. Sonny Edwards, Adrian Carell. The winner of that gets a chance to fight for a world title. 2 guys that were just recently world champions. It's a great fight, high-level fight. You got a boxer versus an aggressive, swarming type of fighter. That shit is excellent. It's going to be a great fight. Don't be surprised if Adrian Carell wins. Don't be surprised if Sonny Edwards wins. That fight is a true 50-50 fight. I'm not a follower of women's boxing, but you have Yamil Machado, the world champion, fighting Ramal Ali, an Olympian, right? This is a very high-level women's fight, a true 50-50 fight. And well, I'm not a fan of women's boxing. A lot of people that watch boxing are, and they support it and they follow it a lot. So you can't dismiss and underrate this. Also, Mexicans and Mexican-American boxing fans really support women's boxing a lot more than the average American. That's just a fact, right? Mexican boxing has had women boxing for a long time. It's been a staple. And so this is just another example of that. Then, of course, you have up-and-coming fighter Arturo Papaco, right, fighting Danny Barrios Flores. This fight is 2 undefeated fighters. 2 undefeated fighters. It's a true 50-50 fight. You can't show me any of the fights on Top Rank that are potentially as competitive as this, except for, of course, the Yan Santana-Brandon Valdez fight, which I said was probably the best, most 50-50 matchup on that Top Rank card. And I praise Top Rank, and I praise how they put this card together. And I even praise the promotion of this fight card. And I criticize DAZN and the way they've built this up and promoted it. They haven't done nearly as good of a job, right? Lopez Clagget has been promoted much better than Francisco Estrada versus Jesse Bam Rodriguez. And that is fucking ridiculous. And that's the point of this video today. Where are we? They have the hottest ring girls. Thank you, Coolio. Black American Boxing FBA. I own. Watching none of them is watching Tank highlight instead. Dude, you should go back to school and learn how to fucking read and write because you don't know how to leave a comment that actually makes any sense at all. Yes, we understand you're a Tank Davis fanboy. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Did you speak on pay-per-view numbers for Tank? No, I don't care. I don't use pay-per-view numbers to build up or discredit. The numbers speak for themselves. We knew Tank Davis, Frank Martin was not going to do more than 250, 300,000 pay-per-view buys. It was going to do less than Canelo Alvarez's last fight, and it was going to do less than Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney. And it did, not to the shock or surprise of anybody. Yet people want to act like Tank Davis is the face of American boxing. Well, no. In paying, he is number 7 on the highest paid boxing list. So, I don't need to highlight it and be critical. I like Tank Davis. He is a pound for pound top fighter. And the problem with him is he's been fighting shit opposition, which has kind of hurt him. And this is an example of that. We knew Frank Martin was a good opponent, but nobody knew who Frank Martin was because the way the PBC built him up, they fucking ruined him, right? They didn't put him in fights that actually showed us how good he was. They put him in with showcase fights and then acted like he was this great opponent, even though he was 29 years old and a fucking prospect. Never fought a top 10 lightweight. And then once he stepped up to face a top level dude, what happened? He got knocked the fuck out. No surprise at all. Raf says top ranked cards always have good undercards. Yeah, they spend money on young up and coming fighters, but most of the time they're showcase fights. Roach is going to fight soon tonight. Just a heads up for anyone that cares. I like Roach, but I don't care about his opponent, and that's why I kind of haven't talked about it. Tank definitely worth the $100 he gets, the highlight reel knockouts. You don't see anybody else getting Tank level knockouts, except for Better BF, Anui, Virgil Ortiz. There's a lot of dudes that score fucking highlight reel knockouts, John Sean Boxing. But of course, we know that you're a fanboy, and it is what it is. The reality is when Golovkin was doing that, you weren't fanboying for Golovkin. Right? People are saying, well, we can't really give Golovkin praise until he steps up his level of opposition. Because once you step up, then it really shows if you still can knock out these top level dudes. And then once he fought Danny Jacobs and didn't knock him out, even though he did drop him, then that was used as a criticism against him. Well, that's what we're waiting for Tank to do. Step up and face top level fighters like Shakur, Lopez, Haney, Lomachenko. I robbed some motherfuckers to pay for Tank's pay-per-view on 4 accounts to boost them numbers. We put in work here in Be More. And still his numbers were pathetic. You better fucking hit the streets, brother, because so far you're doing a piss poor job of representing. But let's move forward. So here is the fight that's getting a lot of attention from people. I'm joking, of course. It's not getting really any attention, as it probably shouldn't. Lopez versus Steve Clagget. It is what it is. Clagget only knocked out once in his career. Tough Aboriginal Canadian fighter. 38 wins, 7 losses, 2 draws. And the thing with Lopez is he is up, he's down. Sometimes he's looking good, sometimes he's looking bad, right? Against this opponent, we expect him to look great. And that's a good thing because that only helps build up and promote big fights that are coming on next. And that's what we're hoping to see. Lopez in a unification fight. So the same way I don't mind Haney fighting a Sandor Martin. I don't mind Lopez fighting Clagget. Is it the fight I want? Is it the fight I'm pushing for? Of course not. But it is what it is. So I'm not going to make more out of it than it needs to be. FBA, you're an obvious troll, bro. Do better. Inui and Better Biev are exciting as well. Teal would look good this fight. It's back foot fighter that gives him issues. Exactly. And that's why they put him in there, right? So he can get a highlight reel knockout, the kind of knockout that John Sean Boxing is talking about gets people's attention. And that's exactly what should happen. Sean, can a brother get a wrench? Jag, I don't know how to give wrenches here. I don't know if I need to do a live just through YouTube and give wrenches there and then it will translate here or what. I don't remember what I was doing before when I gave wrenches. Was it through StreamYard or was it only through YouTube? Because when I look, and even when I looked online, they did not make shit look easy to figure out. That's one reason why my man still is blocked on my channel, and why I haven't been able to give YouTube. So I think I'm gonna have to do a YouTube live, and then anyone that jumps on that live is going to be able to do it. So maybe tomorrow I'll go live on YouTube first before I transfer over to StreamYard. Or if I go on YouTube now, can I see it? Yeah, Hawker. I didn't purposely mean to kick him out, but I even did it a few times and tried to fix things. And, when you look at it, they say that it's very difficult to undo it. I'm like, so why you guys do things that aren't easy to fucking do and easy to fix? I don't understand. But how does Teo do against Crawford? Come on. That's a troll. Crawford kicks his ass. Crawford's all wrong for him, and Teo knows it. He's just capping because, Crawford's not even at 147 anymore. But as far as this fight, we do expect Teo to go in there and knock Steve Clagget out, get a sensational win, which is going to give him a lot of attention. And obviously then we can push him into a pay-per-view unification fight moving forward. As far as this fight, I like Robsy Ramirez. I think Robsy's got a lot of personality, a lot of charisma. He was the guy I was looking forward to dominating the 126-pound division, so that what we could do was get an Inui to move up and face him. He's asking everyone, ask Newton to unblock me. I know, but it's not easy to unblock you. I've tried multiple times. But I will continue to try. But if anyone finds a solution, feel free to leave me an email, and you can leave it in my email, and then I'll try that. Because as I say, I'm Generation X, so technology is not our skill point. But I try my best. I do go through and squint and try to find solutions. It just sometimes it takes longer than necessary. But
Caitlin would try to run off Aaliyah and take a handoff.
What are you talking about?
What would happen every time?
You get out of here. My TV's fucking haunted. But as I said, I like Robsy Ramirez. And I think really he is the best fighter at 126 pounds. But I don't know who this guy is he's fighting. Brandon Benitez, 21 wins, 2 losses, both by knockout, only 9 wins by KO. He is what he is, right? He's being used to give Robsy Ramirez a highlight reel knockout. So he can go out there, knock out this guy, go to 14-2 with 9 KOs, and then maybe get a rematch with the guy that beat him, Espinoza, or maybe go in a different direction and fight a guy like Ball or somebody else, somebody that doesn't have so many advantages to them, like an Espinoza, who's super long and super tall and looks really good right now. It's funny because before he fought Robsy Ramirez, we didn't even know who he is. Now the guy's getting a lot of attention because he really looks dangerous. This is some of the other big fights on this undercard. Obviously, Elvis versus this Filipino guy, right? The Filipino guy has never been knocked out, but again, he's never fought anyone. Why are my titles upside down there? Nico Ali Walsh, obviously 9-1. His one loss was a competitive fight. Now he's fighting this guy. I don't even know if this guy is the guy that beat him. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But obviously for Nico Ali Walsh, he's a young fighter, got a lot of attention because of his grandfather's name. So people were very critical of him. I think people are being overly critical. The kid looks good, but you got to give him time to develop, just like anyone else. As far as Emiliano Vargas, obviously Jesse Vargas's son looks good, right? They really seem to be pushing him. Obviously, he looks like a guy that Top Rank really wants to develop as one of their top fighters moving forward. But the guy he's facing in Jose Zaragoza, the dude looked like a bum on the scale. He looked like fucking Emiliano Vargas's fucking chef. 9 wins, 8 losses, 2 draws. I mean, who's this fucking guy? Yeah, Fernando Vargas' son. Sorry. Who did I say? Oh, Jesse Vargas. Did I say Jesse? Yeah, definitely not Jesse Vargas' son. Um, you know, I don't know what he's really going to learn by fighting a dude like this, who's just a punching bag. Like, if he doesn't knock this guy out, that's going to be critical towards him. You might as well at least step up his level of opposition versus different stylistic matchups, right? It's just a questionable opponent at best. Top Rank card is going to have lots of highlight reel knockouts, lots of sleepers on that DAZN card. Yeah, but that's because DAZN is making real 50-50 cards like Eddie Hearn does, where many times his fighters get beat by unknown opponents that are legitimate. Whereas Top Rank is trying to build up and highlight fighters and build them up so they become profitable, not so they put them in with legitimate opposition. That's obviously the difference of what we're talking about in these two cards. Howlin' Ninja says, Bud, Inui, Usyk, we got 3 legendary killers in boxing, Sean. Canelo is a cherry pick mode. Well, in saying that, Canelo Alvarez has a better resume than Bud, Inui, and Usyk. So, I mean, as far as a cherry picking mode, his resume is still better than all 3 of those guys. So what does that say? Wow, Jag, thank you very much again for 5 memberships. Sean, I got all the results wrong in the 5-on-5 except the Wilder one. I knew he would lose. I don't remember. I know I picked Jang to beat Wilder. I had a few other ones wrong as well because there were a few unusual results. I did think that Hutchinson guy was going to lose, but he did win. Who else was on that card? I don't even remember off the top of my head. But that shows you what kind of card it was, right? Like, DAZN puts these cards together that are legitimate cards. Legitimate. I'm hoping you would catch one, but no luck. Hollow Ninja, facts, those 3 are special. They are special, but they're not the only special ones. And here we go. The man, the myth, the legend. Juan Francisco Estrada, 44-3, 28 KOs, never been stopped. Never been stopped. And he's revenged all 3 of his losses on his resume, right? Which doesn't mean he's undefeated, but, you know, he beat every single fighter he's ever stepped in the ring with, right? Kind of similar to old legendary Hall of Famer Azuma Nelson. Azuma Nelson was very similar. Often in the first fight, when he matched up with people, he would lose. But then he would make adjustments, come back in the rematch, and get his win. That's exactly what Juan Francisco Estrada has done. As long as he's very super competitive in this fight, we can look forward to a potential rematch where whether he wins or loses, he could come back and get his redemption. For Jesse Bam Rodriguez, 19-0, 12 KOs, young up-and-coming fighter, looks great, got a little bit of Lomachenko in him. Obviously, his training and sparring with Chocolatito Gonzalez, he did 24 rounds of sparring with him. I think that's going to be really beneficial, obviously, because he's learning from a guy who's faced Estrada 3 times, but also because as far as his infighting, that's going to be definitely an area that he can continue to improve on, and an area that Estrada is good at, as well as many other areas. Estrada is obviously an elite fighter. This is a true 50-50 fight, and the winner of this easily cements themselves as a pound-for-pound top 10 fighter in boxing today, right? I mean, Estrada should already be on the top 10 list, But obviously, because of inactivity, he's fallen off because that's how pound for pounds work. You don't stay on the list when you're not fighting. You don't stay on fucking the list when you're not doing anything significant because other people are continuing to add to their legacy. For Bam Rodriguez, going to 20-0 by beating this Hall of Famer, that would be a career-defining victory. Obviously cements him as one of the best young American fighters in boxing today, right? Definitely. Personality-wise, he's lacking. He's boring. He's fucking as stale as fucking 7-day bread. But once he steps in the ring, that shit disappears. Then he becomes dynamic, entertaining, and continues to surprise me fight after fight after fight. That's why this fight is so difficult to predict because I really can see Estrada winning because he's way more experienced. He's been in with a far higher level of opposition. Bam Rodriguez, though, what he does and the things he's done and surprised me on multiple occasions, he could potentially do that again and show even more tools in his toolbox to continue to show what a great fighter he is. I know he's talking about potentially facing a Nui. That's quite the jump from 115 to 122. He might be better to move up and fight the guy I wanted him to fight all along in Junto Nakatani. That would have been the fight I would have loved to see. Bam, Junto Nakatani at 112, at 115, at 118. Don't matter. Where are we? Roman Gonzalez was robbed. I don't think he was robbed in the third fight, but he was definitely robbed in the second fight. It does that work. Random subscribers get a gift. Dream fight if Bam wins. Chocolito versus Bam. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Chocolito Bam not gonna fight. Canelo's resume is great but overhyped. Great but overhyped, but still better than the three fighters you just mentioned. So, what does that say about them? Jag Chaco fights in Nicaragua. Roman Gonzalez was robbed. Nah, Estrada won it. Estrada won the third fight, but he lost the second fight convincingly. That was the most clear cut out of all three fights. Canelo's resume great, but he's been slacking these last few years. That's true, and that's why he's been falling down on the pound for pound list. But his resume and his legacy is still cemented, and he's still doing more than the majority of boxers out there. Estrada can win, don't sleep. That's true. This fight could be like Chavez versus De La Hoya. That's a great comparison. Yeah, it's definitely 50-50. I'm hoping that younger fighters, Bam gets the win or makes it look easy. Well, I don't know if I want him to make it look easy. I'm rooting for Estrada, who wins Indongo versus Cambosis. Who cares? Is Indongo even fucking still active? I meant how, not I. If Bam beats Gallo, he would have beat 3 of the 4 big ones. Yeah, but I never liked that list because the problem was 2 of those big ones ducked each other, primarily Quadras, who ducked the Rungvisai rematch, and neither of them fought Inui, who was a world champion, WBO champion at that weight class for fucking years while they were both sitting there, and only jumped up to fight 2 smaller dudes that moved into the weight division in Estrada and obviously Roman Gonzalez. So, you know, I know obviously Rungvisai beat Roman Gonzalez, but people have to realize the first fight, he did not win. And the second fight, Roman's trainer had just died. He's coming off of his first career loss in a controversial loss with tons of headbutts. So I think there's a lot of things that need to factor into that. Bud's resume would have way better if he wasn't ducked and blackballed. Yeah. Hey, Hollow Ninja, you know, you're preaching to the choir. I agree with you completely. If he wasn't ducked at 140 and 147 by PBC Showtime fighters, his resume would be fucking way better. Way better. And that's why I'm not hating on him. I'm not being critical of Bud's resume not being as good as Canelo Alvarez. But It's not. So when people are critically criticizing Canelo, I just think, how can we criticize a guy with literally the best resume in boxing? Would we have liked to see him do things a little differently, like now fight David Benavidez? Sure. Previously, obviously, people wanted to fight Andrade to become undisputed at 160, but we know that wasn't him. That was the IBF. And then, so what other fights didn't he make that he could have made, right? Like, literally, he's fought almost everybody that people wanted him to fight. Bam, gonna make Gallo run like Forrest Gump. Well, that ain't true. Raf, it would be a war. I can't pick a winner. We just saw Bam Rodriguez beat Sonny Edwards, and that was a great performance. Sensational. But let's put it in context. Estrada's bigger, hits harder, and is a way better fighter than Bam fucking Rodriguez. Way more versatile, has way more tools in his bag. I mean, I like Sonny Edwards, but he's a boring jab, move, boxer, defense first type of fighter with no power. That's what he is. That's what he always was. That would be crazy to see. I know, right? Who? Bam making Gallo run? Impossible. That ain't never going to happen. Then, of course, we have this fight, which is a quality fight. Sonny Edwards coming off of his first loss, obviously to Bam. Adrian Carell, 24-5, one draw. His only loss coming to the guy he knocked out to become world champion, the South African fighter, No Shinga. So obviously, he knows he can do it. He obviously got some power, even though, ironically enough, when you look here, he's 24-5-1 with only 5 KOs. But this is a guy that knocked Noshinga out with one punch in the first 3 or 4 rounds of their fight. So either Noshinga's chin is terrible, or Adrian Carell's power is a little under highlighted. But nonetheless, this is a quality fight. We know Adrian's going to push the pressure on Sonny Edwards. Sonny Edwards got a lot to prove because he talked some mad-ish leading into that Bam Rodriguez fight, and then basically got dominated and decimated in that fight. So now this is his bounce back. If he don't beat Adrian Carell, he's going to be seen as a UK hype job that just talked himself into big fights and was never really that good. Right? Was kind of similar to his brother. Not a quality fighter, but more of a UK domestic level fighter. If he beats Adrian Carell, potentially now we can get to see Sonny Edwards versus Noshinga, which is a great fight. Obviously, Martinez was just stripped or dropped his WBC title. Obviously, just caught using PEDs, so he's out of the picture. So, the division is wide open for Sonny Edwards moving forward. Little guys get old quicker. Not so much anymore, but historically, yes. Here's the undercard of that fight. You have the World Championship fight between Yamil Mercado, 23-3, versus Ramali Ali, the Somalian Olympian, 9-1, 2 knocked out once. It should be a good fight. Mercado obviously got a lot to prove. She's the champion. She wants to kick out this up-and-coming fighter who's longer, going to try to control the distance behind her jab and her right hand. But Ali also showed that she's a little bit chinny, right? And can be knocked the fuck out. Flores versus Popov, 2 undefeated fighters. This fight, I think, could be similar to that Santana-Mercado fight on the top rank card, right? A really entertaining fight, really back and forth, and probably one of the best fights on this card. So don't dismiss that and look past it. LDBC said Inui is ducking Kermel Moten. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. If they said that, that tells you everything you need to know. Who in their fucking right mind thinks Inui is ducking Kermel Moten? The reality is Inui doesn't even know who fucking Kermel Moten is. And Kermel Moten has not fought a top fucking 30 fighter. Kermel is, I think, 122. But the reality is this kid is a fucking prospect. He's like 17, 18 years old. It's like, slow your roll, people. If you're going to try to dismiss and hate on Inui, at least use the right fighters, right? And that ain't fucking Colonel Malmo Moulton. You should be using fucking, what's his face? Shushu Carrington, right? You want a black American fighter, so then you can say Inui's ducking Shushu Carrington. Shushu's still not a world champion. So that's the thing with these dudes. Like, how is a guy like Inui, who's an undisputed 122-pound fighter, ducking a guy who's not a champion, never beat a top 10 opponent, and outside of being, hyped up by Floyd Mayweather, the same way he did Broner, the same way he did Tank, the same way he did Spence, right? That's the only reason these people have a lot of attention in America, because the same usual suspects that want to make everything about race literally jump on Floyd Mayweather's dick whenever he hypes up a fucking another black American fighter. And then we saw what happened to Adrian Broner, exposed. We saw what fucking happened to Errol Spence, exposed. Tank Davis, if he steps up and faces Lomachenko, maybe he'll be exposed, because we see what happens when top-ranked fighters face PBC fighters. And if he gets beat by Lomachenko, exposed. And then Carmel Moulton, come on. The dude fucking hasn't done anything yet. He's still wet behind his ears. That guy still has fucking hard fucking nipples. You know that thing you go through puberty where your nipples are all sore and fucking swollen and hard? Or was that just me? But that kid hasn't even went through that yet. That kid fucking still in puberty. Is boxing now the only sport where being young is not an asset? These fighters turn weak. Well, it's true. That's true, Jag. Historically, a lot of young fighters got a lot of attention. But for men, to be fair, there's a point where you're too young and you're obviously not at your best, right? Because you just haven't developed. I don't know what age you stopped growing, but I was in grade 10 when I reached my gigantic height of 5'10", 178 centimeters, right? So it took me my second year in high school before I finally hit my final growth spurt. And even then I was still scrawny and skinny, right? And didn't really reach my full benefit until I was probably 25 years of age, where I was like 5'10", 170 pounds, 175. So, we know guys that's different. Some people mature super early. You look at a lot of these Filipino guys, they're fully mature by the time they're 16 years old, right? I played basketball with a kid that was the best athlete in my elementary school. He was the same height in elementary school that he is now. He was totally thick. He dominated in sports because he was completely developed at 16 years of age. Whereas I played basketball with Italian guys in grade 7 and 8, and they had fucking hair everywhere. Fucking beards, fucking bushes. And man, I fucking look like smooth like a little girl. I still can't even fucking grow sideburns, and I'm 56 years old. Where are we? Boo Boo exposed. Iceman, not really. David is bigger than him, reasonably. Wow, Newton, did you just fart, dude? Me? No, I didn't fart. What happened? Kermel is not that good. Saw him last time, and he gets hit a lot. He's still a kid, so, you can't overreact to that. But he is fighting shitty level of opposition at this point. Not really. Raph, Boo Boo is huge. I'm still waiting for my growth spurt, and I'm 40. Yeah, I hope so, right? Maybe my NBA career is not over just because I'm 56, and now my knees are shot. But, you can hope. Fingers crossed. I mean, they say anyone that plays with Joker can be an NBA player. So, hopefully Denver will draft me. But obviously this weekend, we have a Camudrum. Is that how we say it? Obviously, we have a situation where there's going to be 2 fight cards, which is something we have happen all the time. Luckily, one of them I'm going to be watching on my TV, to Zone, which is going to be able to make me go live on Sunday. So make sure you jump in and join us. But as far as the Top Rank card, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to like try to watch that on my iPad on the side and stay tuned that way. But as I said, there's no 50-50 fights on that card. Obviously, it's more of a showcase card. And I'm okay with that. I don't mind when people showcase young up and coming athletes. But eventually, you need to put guys in tough, right? Eventually. I'm still waiting too. I'm 6'2", 240. God damn, what are you waiting for? Breakfast? Dessert? Boxing sanctions are like politics in the real world because cause division, and get in the way of progress. Well, that's totally a fact. Yeah, yeah. Again, you're preaching to the choir. Sanction bodies are the worst. If fucking Turkey Alishika, if I butchered his name, my apologies, because I'm still hoping you throw money towards my channel. Come on, Saudi Arabia, number one. Saudi Arabia, number one. Saudi Arabia, number one. Yeah, always hungry. Well, at 240, takes a lot to fill that tank. But now if he does anything to benefit boxing, I hope what he does is fucking buy out those sanctioning bodies, fucking kill them, and just create one sanctioning body globally that controls fucking everything. All these PED issues. I just put like a short video up today because one of track and field's best young up and coming athletes, a Black American kid, very young, 200 sprinter, he got caught using PEDs, right? But the Olympics is coming. So are people all over the internet trying to railroad him, trying to shit on him, trying to ruin his career, right? Of course not. People haven't even talked about it. They don't even care. He is probably going to go on to win a gold medal or at least a medal in the 200 and probably 4x200. Easily, he should be part of both of those teams. And why did he get off? Because he ate oxtail stew. He ate oxtail stew, so he's allowed to get off of using a failed PED test. Whereas, isn't that what happened to Canelo? But then people still hold that over Canelo's head. Isn't that what Fury said? He ate testicles of wild boar. And then even fucking, what's his face? The other UK fighter ate too many eggs, right? We hear these kind of excuses consistently about food intake and that being the reason for elevated levels in people's PEDs. For me, I don't care. It's like talking about pay-per-view numbers. I don't care. But I put that video out just to show the point that when it's a Black American athlete that has these issues, nobody really cares. Nobody's really hating on Black American athletes who fail PED tests. The opposition is the one creating this back and forth because when it's not a Black American athlete, then all of a sudden PEDs become the biggest fucking topic in the sport of boxing, right? Consistently. We just had Martinez to fail a PED test, but because there's no Black American fighters at 112 pounds, so there's no need to even talk about it. Nobody cares, right? Alicia Baumgardner failed. Nobody gave a fuck. The biggest thing they had to do was criticize people that were criticizing her, right? Big Baby failed and got caught with like 45 needles out of his ass when they went in to test him. He was suspended, but it wasn't a big talking point. You didn't see people making 100 fucking videos day in and day out harping on that shit, right? So they need one sanctioned body to control all of it. So it's all exactly the same. We know the results. We know the punishments. You fail this. This is your punishment. Fucking there it is. Boom, boom, boom. It's consistent across the board. So we can try to beat down all this race baiting bullshit fucking type of bullshit that we hear consistently. Let's just make it simple so there's no excuses and we all know the results if you fail, and then it's one person that's organized it, and so it is what it is. But where are we? Biden's age hit him in the debate. Fuck. People knew Biden was fucking senile fucking 2 years ago. Who's fucking surprised that he looked like an idiot in the debate? And now they're worried. You should have been worried 2 fucking years ago. He should not have been the guy headlining the Democratic card in this election. No president should be 81 years old. 65 is the cap. Baumgardner was defended like crazy. Yep. Man, Biden has to go. I knew he would smoke Oshaki Foster if they were at 130. What is the LDBC on as always? Why? Who talked about Oshaki Foster beating Inui? Must be John Boxing. Kansakal will beat him. I agree, Iceman. I thought he was going to have a stroke. Well, people thought he had a stroke at one point, right? And I ain't hating on Biden. I ain't hating because it's politics. Both sides are shit. Both sides are in the pockets of the deep fucking contributors that control everything. The reason why Trump gets so much hate is because he's not. And because he's not, he is ruining the system. And that's why he's fucking getting so much negativity thrown at him by the media that's controlled by the same people that control Biden and most other politicians. How about Reed Shepherd going number 3 of the Rockets? I wish he would have went number 4 to San Antonio. I think the Rockets are too young. There's no leadership. They don't have a big defender at the back to protect him. And I just think he's going to be a bit of a scapegoat. Whereas if he went to San Antonio, his three-point shooting would be utilized. His fast hands would be great. And then, of course, he had Wimby behind him protecting him if he does get beat off the dribble. So, and then he can help facilitate the ball to Wimby, which he's very good at. Wayne, you're a Rocket fan. He wasn't blinking. No, I'm a Shepherd fan. A Reed Shepherd fan. Sending my prayers to Biden. Just retire and spend the rest of your life with your family. He is 80. That dude don't have much of the rest of his life left. Like when he got upset defending his son is a fucking criminal, a crook, right? If this was Trump's son, imagine what the media would do. Well, we saw what they did, right? They give fucking Biden a pass on everything. Whereas they look for anything to shit on Trump. And I'm not a Trump fan, but I'm just showing you the blatant bias the media is pushing. Because in truth, I don't think either one of those guys should be presidents, even though I think fucking Trump definitely should be president over fucking Biden. At least he could still sign a fucking check. I thought he was 91. Fuck, he looks like 101. Good thing his wife is so young and fucking on top of things. Because literally that dude, man, he needs fucking a caregiver. He needs a caregiver. And Trump is also fucking old as dirt as well. So, how much longer can he with his high blood pressure fucking stay in that position as well, right? What he needs to do is sometimes just shut the fuck up and say less. That's always been his biggest problem. His mouth is too big because he is rich and can do what he wants. And that shows when he does these kind of things because people don't want to see that. They want to see a bit of a humble side for you, a strong, silent side. All this woke agenda and woke media stuff is getting annoying, Sean. Oh, fuck. I don't even live in the States. I live in Taiwan where this is not even an issue. But secondhand, I can't imagine living in Canada. I mean, I love Canada. If I won the lottery, I'd move back to Canada, live off a boat. Right? A nice yacht where I could bring all the honeys and say, let's go back to my boat, have some wine, enjoy the sun. But outside of that, fucking Canada's mental. And the States, it's the same. Jill was talking to him like a child. Great job. You answered all the questions. Good boy. And then you notice after the debate, both of them went and started talking to the facilitators of CNN. Because that's how corrupt the whole thing is. If CNN is headlining the debate, you know that they're pushing for Biden to look good and pushing for Trump to look bad. CNN is fucking anti-Donald Trump and super pro-Biden. So the fact that CNN is doing the debate, that tells you everything you need to know right off the bat. They're fucking biased already. They're biased from the jump. They were biased fucking 8 years ago. So, But This weekend, Estrada, Bam Rodriguez. Fucking legendary matchup. Biden has a guy behind him to poke him with a big stick to jumpstart him. If I was rich, would move to Asia. Well, if I wasn't really rich, I'd move to Indonesia, to Bali, right? If I could just buy a nice little house and fucking chill there. Indonesian girls are sexy and easy. There's lots of foreigners, lots of restaurants, so it's super Western. But if I was rich enough to buy a boat, then I'd rather live in Canada. Just, you know, it's nice, not so fucking hot all the time. But Asia's good. It's got its good points. Obviously, I still live here. If you believe in more than one gender, good for you. People blame Trump on everything the same way boxing fans blame Al Heyman and the PBC on everything that goes wrong in boxing. Vancouver, Iceman, that's it. Vancouver is beautiful. Not too fucking cold, not too hot. You live fucking right in the city on your boat. You fucking got Gastown on one side, Granville Island on the other. You're trapped in the middle. A little walk around to Kids Beach, a little walk down to fucking Stanley Park. Pfft. Oh my God. And then you jump on your boat and you go over to Victoria fucking for 3-day weekends, go through the fucking archipelago, see some fucking orcas, go kayaking. Oh my God. I don't need to live in a fucking tent. I just fucking crawl back on my boat, cook there, live on the boat. Who needs a fucking tent, right? Australia, fuck that shit. I ain't going to Australia. Australian dudes are fucking thick and Australian girls are ugly. The best Australian girls are fucking Asian Australians. And there's too many animals that want to fucking eat you. So I'm on my boat. I see this beautiful lagoon. I can't go in the fucking water. There's fucking salties that want to eat me. There's fucking great whites that want to eat me. If you walk in the land, there's a million fucking snakes all over the place. It's like, fuck that place, man. If I went anywhere, I'll go to New Zealand. At least New Zealand doesn't want to kill me. Fucking Australia, man. You better be a fucking cowboy to live in Australia. New channel, Sean on Review. The B in LGBTQ stands for bi, meaning two, which contradicts the whole thing. That's fucking true, eh? I'm terrified of the Australian box jellyfish. Another fucking thing, right? Fucking box jellyfish will kill you as well. Fucking toads you lick so you can get high, and then you get too high and you die. Fucking Christ, man. You know? And then you go to the city and the fucking, what do we call fucking Australians? Locals? What's the word? Fuck. What's the word for fucking local Australians? Australia is beautiful, for sure. The water is too enticing. Too enticing. But they celebrate Christmas fucking the wrong part of the year. But what do they call Australians? Like locals. Fuck. I'm thinking of a word we use for fucking inbreed people in Canada. The goalers. But not that. But like, there's too many of those dudes that just want to fucking fight. I would like to live in Asia, but I don't care if I can part ways with my guns. Been thinking moving to Japan. Japan's good, but it also has negatives as well, right? Koalas. Koalas are full of fucking STDs. Not Aussies. Not so much where Carl is, but where outlaws live. Japan's nice. It's pretty safe. Lots of Japanese girls. The food's good. It's very organized, easy to do stuff, but it's expensive. Taxes, I don't think, are too bad. Rent in the cities is expensive. You live in a fucking box, right? You can move out of the city and get a fucking house, an old house for fucking nothing because the population is dying, right? Japan's population is fucking old and they're not producing enough kids. So now they're saying foreigners can buy houses in Japan for cheap, but obviously you're living outside Japan. So you better have a YouTube channel and pull in an income. The problem with Japan is overwork. Well, that's Asia. Asia, everybody's money focused, right? Which is why the kids fucking are going to kindergartens and fucking trying to write, read, and do everything. So when they go to elementary school, they have a leg up. So when they go to junior high school, they have a leg up. So when they go to high school, they have a leg up. So they can get into the best university in Taiwan. But in truth, you don't even want them to go to the best school in Taiwan. You want them to go to the States, to Harvard or Berkeley or fucking somewhere, and then come back to Taiwan and be another fucking doctor. How many fucking doctors does Taiwan need? But yeah, they all overwork. Money is everything. Everything. Right? The fact I don't work Saturdays and Sundays and then do privates all night, people don't understand. They think you should do that. You'll make way more money. Sure. But then I have no fucking life. And the quality of my life will dip. Obviously, I did that before, but you do that when you want to do something. When you need extra money, then you work Saturdays, Sundays, you get overtime jobs at night, and then you pull in, 150,000 NT, which is like what, $5,000. But when I listen to you guys living in North America, $5,000, can you even live on $5,000? How much money do you have to make now to live in North America? DeMarcus Cousins joins the Pro League in Taiwan. Did he? Really? Oh, DeMarcus Cousins coming to Taiwan. He's going to be like dipping his wick in some Taiwanese pussy. Every day I woke up, Sean, I'm grateful. There are too many people suffering, no food, no water, etc. Exactly. The majority of people in the world live under the poverty line. So all of us here on our fucking laptops, chillaxing in a house, not worried about food because there's food in the fridge. We're doing better than the majority of people in the world. But, truth be told, there's some people that just have more than they need. And the levels are too crazy. It's like this. Everything. Nothing. Really nothing. Japan is newly built, probably not many old buildings. No, that's just if you're in Tokyo or the big cities, right? Obviously, the old buildings have been changed to bigger ones so the owners can capitalize off the property value more and build higher and make more money from rent as opposed to lower where they can't make as much rent. So now buildings are huge, 1 million people living in boxes. But if you get outside of the city, it's still lots of houses, lots of traditional houses, a lot of traditional look to it still. My biggest problem is too much food, too much drink. I am blessed. There you go. Japan also has a huge xenophobic problem. If you look foreign and speak perfect Japanese, they still won't accept you. It's not that they won't accept you, but you're not Japanese. They appreciate the fact that you speak Japanese and that you're buying into the culture, but you're not Japanese, right? People make xenophobia out to be some negative, but when you're in a country where 99% of the people that live there are one people, of course it's going to be that way, right? Whereas the States, people talk about racism and stuff there, and it's like, it's completely different. Like John tries to compare Japan to fucking the States. He's never been to Japan. He's never been outside the States. But this guy acts as if, America fans should treat everyone like Japanese fans treat Japanese athletes. But it's completely fucking different. America is full of people literally from around the fucking globe who still have ties to their fucking home country, whether it's culture or language, family, right? Like you talk about Mexican Americans. Obviously, they're still connected to fucking Mexico. It's fucking just across the border, you know. Whereas, obviously, African Americans, they don't have the same connection with Africa. One reason was because they came over through slavery, right? And have been here hundreds of years, have no real connection to Africa. That's unfortunate. It is what it is, right? But that's a whole different story. You can't really compare most people who immigrate to America on their own compared to this particular situation, and act like everybody should love everyone that's a Black American, and meanwhile Black Americans don't love every other American, right? You don't see a lot of Black Americans supporting Bam Rodriguez, supporting Joe Smith. They don't, right? But yet everyone else has to support Black American athletes. And then they go, look at Japan. Japan, they all love Japanese athletes because they're all fucking Japanese. So it's completely fucking different. Probably Japan has houses built in 1945. Well, there were still houses that didn't get blown up during the war. Only two cities got demolished during World War II. So the rest of Japan was still fucking fine. It wasn't bombed like Germany and other countries, London, during World War II. So it was only two cities that got nuked. The rest of the country was perfectly fine. Obviously, it's developed a lot since then as well, though. When you go back and watch movies that were dated, like I've been watching a Korean TV show, and when they talk about like 1962, it's only fucking 6 years before I was born, but it looks old, man. And I think, did Toronto look like that? I don't think so. There's a few of them and so many of us. Imagine growing up in Japan, but you're white. They still won't accept you. That's the point. No, it's not. You'll be a superstar. You'll be a superstar. You grow up in fucking high school in Taiwan or Japan and you're the white guy. You get more attention than you fucking want. That's the negative, because you get more attention. You can't just fit in because you are different. They look at you different. And because of that, you benefit too. There's pros and cons, right? That's the situation. You can enjoy it, which is, of course, when we come to Japan and Taiwan, we bask in the glory of the light shining on us because we're adults. But as a kid, yeah, that could be a lot to take in and day out, especially when you are just Taiwanese or Japanese, but you're not, because you're mixed or some other situation. The few causes the problem of the world has tanks and we don't. Philip, where are you from? Who has tanks? Javante fans are almost as bad as Floyd fans, except Floyd was generally great. Tank is overhyped. That's true. Hey, Sean, I'm 26 and I just learned something I should have learned a long time ago. People are stupid. That's true too. I need to stop assuming people are smart. Javante fans ain't that bad, and the worst are Canelo, Haney, Ryan fans. Well, any fan group of a fighter that's popular are going to have radical fans. Deontay Wilder fans, ridiculous. Floyd Mayweather fans, ridiculous. Pacquiao fans, Filipino Pacquiao fans, ridiculous, right? You're always going to have the extreme fan for every fucking buddy. But then you have the majority that are sensible, and then you have the extreme ones, right? So let's be smart enough to understand there's extreme fans everywhere, and they don't speak for everyone. Like when John Boxing says 90% of Black Americans support Spence, and that's why racist boxing fans support Bud Crawford. The guy literally pulling numbers out of his ass to make up a fucking narrative, to literally make up a narrative. How long does the radiation last from nuclear bombs? Fucking decades and decades and decades, right? Like obviously Hiroshima and those places now, I mean, I think that's obviously gone now. But let's look at Chernobyl. Has Russian people started to move back to Chernobyl? I'm not sure what the situation is. Just replying to Hollow Ninja. Irishman salute. Drunk Irishman's in the house. So Drunk Irishman, what's your prediction on tomorrow's great 50-50 fight between Estrada and Bam Rodriguez? Being a good fan should come with age. Young people are passionate. The older you get, the better you should think. Should. That's true, right? That's why when you look at the LDBC, they are ridiculous because those dudes are all fucking, not all, but the majority of them, at least the ones that are popular, are fucking 40 years old and older. But it's true, young people are crazy. Like you listen to 78, who said that he was a radical Mike Tyson fan. Okay, he was young back then when Mike Tyson was boxing. So you can understand him latching on, him being pro black and Mike Tyson being the baddest man on the planet. But to do that with Deontay Wilder when you're like 40 something? What? How do you even put Deontay Wilder in the same conversation and try to give him as much fanaticism as you gave fucking Mike Tyson? That shit's ridiculous. Come on. Displaced fucking love. Nuclear bombs are 80 times worse than the atomic bombs. North Korea has way too many. North Korea has way too many what? Bombs? Do they? I thought North Korea was heavily monitored by the US, and any bombs they might have got would have been given to them from Russia or China. But that was also heavily focused, paid attention to. Sean, you picking Bam or Estrada? I'm going with Estrada by decision. You know, it's a tough decision. I would love to see Bam Rodriguez get that big win and go on to be like one of the best pound for pound fighters in boxing, put himself right in there in contention with everybody, right? He's young, got a long future ahead of him. When you compare what Shakur and Devin Haney have done, obviously what he's been doing, if he wins, supersedes that, right? So he should get attention. But he's also in a small weight division. He's also going to get a lot of this racism thrown at him, and he's going to be criticized and hated on by North American boxing fans, the radical ones. And it is what it is. When you try to put him in the top 5 pound for pound, people are still going to say, oh, 118 pounds, 115 pounds. There's nobody at those weight classes. And Estrada, I would love to see him win because for him, that would be the definitive win, right? To cap off his career. And then we could watch him fight Ioka for unification, which I really hope happens. So I have to say I'm leaning more towards Estrada. Also, Roman Gonzalez beating Estrada, in my mind, 2 times elevates Roman Gonzalez if Estrada then goes on and beats Bam. So, I'm being a bit of a Roman Gonzalez fanboy in picking Estrada. But I won't be disappointed if Bam goes in there and shows that he's a superstar. North Korea has about 30 to 50 nukes in their arsenal. North Korea cries out nuclear bombs when they are hungry so they can be given money to calm down. Do you think Tank fights Loma or Pitbull next? I hope Loma, but I would not be surprised if it's Pitbull. Obviously, that's an in-house fight. The U.S. is the only country in the West with nuclear weapons. Canada does not rock with nuclear. U.S. and Russia has the most stockpiles, but mostly tactical. China has the 3rd most, around 400 to 1,000. I keep telling people, Sean, Africa is not poor. It's just mismanaged. But that's facts. Africa is one of the richest countries in the world. Maybe the most rich. Well, maybe Middle East, more oil. But Africa got tons of oil as well. Nigeria and Libya. The northern aspect, right? So they got fucking diamonds, gold, plutonium, fucking oil, natural gas. Fucking, they got everything. The problem is greedy fucking politicians from the West and from the country itself, always trying to get paid. Now China is taking over taking over Africa. Like South Africa is part of the axis of evil now because of its relationship with China, right? And that's not good for South Africa. China is just going to rape them of their natural resources, just like the West did. France has nukes also, maybe England too. Both France and England have nukes, as well as Israel. We do need to see Ioka fight at least one of the four kings at 115. Exactly. And Estrada would be the one, right? Especially coming off of a Bam Rodriguez win. That shit would be fucking dynamite. Bam Rodriguez, Ioka beating fucking what's his face to unify titles, and then Estrada facing the winner, preferably Ioka. That would be, in my mind, one of the three biggest fights of 2024. Easily. I know casual race fans, American LDBC channels, they're not going to be excited about it, but because they're not fucking boxing fans. They don't even know who Fernando Martinez is. And they probably don't even know Ioka. And they barely know Bam Rodriguez and Estrada. And they won't give any of those four fighters any credit at all. So, because neither of them are Black American fighters. And if they were, they'd be pound for pound top and they'd be getting tons of attention. But because they're not, they're downplayed, ignored, and dismissed. Iran probably has nuclear weapons from Russia during that whole Iran-Iraq back and forth situation, but I'm not sure. The money could have fed millions of people, pure corruption. Well, that's the thing, right? Africa, if it was managed, if the world was managed properly and didn't just use people as a natural resource, because that's all we are. We're just natural resources. The people that run the world don't give a fuck about you if you're Black. They don't give a fuck about you if you're Mexican. They don't give a fuck about you if you're a Caucasian. They don't care about you if you're fucking Asian. They don't care about you. They use you to keep the fucking wheels moving so they continue to fucking have power, money, and everything they want, but they don't give a fuck about anybody else. When COVID kicks in and kills hundreds of thousands of people, they're still living their lifestyle the way they want, and they don't give a fuck. They don't care. And this is the problem with people pushing these stupid narratives. They're too ignorant to even understand that. Right? And these people that talk about vegetarianism, veganism, you're even more delusional. You're like the lucky 5% of the world that could even fucking have that issue, because the rest of the world, the other 90%, just want to eat. They don't care what they eat. They just want to eat something. So, when Gwyneth Paltrow, a fucking millionaire, starts talking about why people should do what she's doing, go fuck yourself. Literally, go fuck yourself. When all these Hollywood people now say they're going to leave America if Trump gets elected, again, go fuck yourself. No one gives a shit. You're being used because you're a popular name, and stupid people are easily manipulated. But in truth, who gives a fuck? Go fuck yourself. Where am I? Loma will be expected to keep unifying while Shakur and Tank will be avoiding each other. Or should I say Tank avoiding Shakur? You missed my comment above, Sean. That money would feed millions of people. Pure corruption. I stated it. Just worry about power and money. Loma, Tank, November, let's go. That's when it should be, man. November, let's do it. It'd be a great way to finish the year. Unification fight. Maybe we could even get Shakur to fight Branchek on the undercard. That would be fucking dynamite. And then that would just set up a potential undisputed fight between the winner of Branchek Shakur and Tank versus Loma. That's what should be done. And if it was left to Saudi Arabia, that's what would be done. Ralph, yup, I got Ioka winning. I know he hasn't looked that impressive in the last few fights, but I think he will have enough in the tank to get the job done. I only eat certified organic, farm to table, small batch grown, not I eat anything in my path. Yeah. I'm not against eating organic, farm to table foods, but at the same time, that's not something I even fucking look at on the labels. I eat Cheetos from between the couch cushions. Why would you buy fucking Cheetos? Honey Nut Cheerios, maybe, but fucking Cheetos? Come on. Jesus Christ, man. What are you, fucking on welfare? Cheetos. I don't know if I've ever eaten a fucking good Cheeto. But, yeah. I definitely, drunk Irishman, think that Ioka beats Martinez. Martinez is very similar to um, Bam Rodriguez's brother, who Ioka just fought. So I think that those two fights with him, perfect fight to prepare him for a fight with Martinez, right? Martinez, I think he's also about the same age. So it's not like he's young. He just hasn't had that much uh, professional fights. The outlier is obviously the Bam Rodriguez Estrada fight. The flaming hot ones are the only ones worth eating. Flaming hot Cheetos. The greatest gift of all in life. If you're still alive, be grateful. It's a Mexican thing. What's that? Flame overrated, regular is better. Cheetos, to be fair, I don't mind them because they're crunchy. But I'd much rather have sour and cream, thick ridged chip. That would be my go-to, especially thick ridge, right? So it's more crispy and crunchy. But everyone, thanks very much for jumping in. I'm going to feed the baby, who, of course, is running away because it's too hot down here. I definitely need to buy air conditioning for my living room. I was just saying, I have like almost 3 weeks off at the end of July for work. But it's almost better if I go to work, because if I stay here, it's so hot in my first floor that I just want to go upstairs to the bedroom where there's an AC. But, first world problems. To each their own, basic ass joke. Ruffles. Yes, that's it. Ruffles. Good talk. Thank guys. Uh, See you on Sunday for two cards. Obviously, one is going to be here. The other one I'm going to try to find. And legal stream, meaning that Top Rank is not global, because if you can't watch the fights around the world, how are you global? But once again, that will be falling on deaf ears. But cheers, everyone. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a nice weekend. Enjoy. And don't forget to eat those Cheetos stuck in the couch cushions.